May I have a motion to return the regular board meeting to public session? Ms. Kazmierzak Bogner, excuse me. Second, Mrs. Leatherbarrow. Discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. I call the regular board meeting to order. All board members are present. Mr. Bulin, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be advised that in the event of a fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. At this point, I would like to request that we conduct a moment of silence in respect for two individuals that were certainly an important part of our district. The former South soccer coach, Kevin McNamara, is one. Coach Mac passed away recently. And Karen Brzezicki passed away in August. She was a secretary at High Middle and previously was in the payroll department. So I would ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. Item 2F, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Dr. Lippman? Ms. Poulin? Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimous. Thank you. In item 3, I will call on Dr. Brown Hall to turn over to you in terms of board acknowledgements.
Absolutely. Thank you, President McCleary. So tonight we continue our school spotlight, highlighting the great work that goes on within our school buildings. As we begin the school year, our school spotlight focuses on Country Parkway Elementary School and their Parent-Teacher Association. The Country Parkway PTA was honored by the National PTA with the Phoebe Apperson Hearst Award, which is given annually to one school in the entire country. I'm going to read that again. One school in the entire country. This award recognizes schools and PTAs that are innovative in family engagement. I'd now like to welcome Principal Extraordinaire Andrew Bowen to share more.
Good evening. Thank you to the Board of Education for taking the time to recognize Country Parkway for receiving this very prestigious award. It's a thrill. Just to be clear, though, this is not an award that was won by just a handful of individuals. Winning this award truly took a group effort, with all stakeholders coming together for a common purpose. What makes winning this award so special for us is that it showcases one of the core values that we hold most dear at Country Parkway: forming positive relationships with our families. PTA President Beth Ann McPhillips has been wonderful as we have worked together to improve our school. Her leadership has been and continues to be outstanding. This is just the beginning, and we look forward to getting even better. I'd like to turn the microphone over to Beth Ann, if you would like to say a few words. And I'll take it over.
Awesome. I just wanted to say thank you to the board for taking time out of your schedule today to recognize us as a recipient. Our families really, in my opinion, deserve the award. I like to say that as a PTA, if we host the event, they will come. So I would also like to thank our parents, especially those that are listening, because without them, the PTA doesn't exist. We're a volunteer-driven entity. Our staff and administrators are extraordinarily supportive, all the way up to our superintendent, Dr. Brown Hall. So a giant thank you to all of our families and all of you for recognizing what we believe is an award well deserved by our families. So thank you.
Absolutely.
You.
Thank you again. We do have a video to play for the Board of Education this evening. Have a nice evening.
In August, the National PTA reached out to Country Parkway and shared that our school had been honored with the Phoebe Apperson Hearst Award, which is awarded to one school in the country each year and recognizes a local PTA for innovation and family engagement. You know, they said, "You're the school." I kind of lost my mind with the, oh my gosh, I think I said that for like 3 minutes straight.
It's really a testament to the hard work that all of our staff members and all of our parents do every single day, and to the dedication that they have to our school and our school community. Come on in. Good morning. Have a great day.
When I first came to Country Parkway and my daughter was in 2nd grade, I remember sitting in the cafeteria and it was an open house. Mr. Bowen was making a presentation. And one of the things he said specifically about the PTA was that while the school provides the education, the PTA provides the experience, and in many cases, the memories that the students walk away with that are special for them. And that really struck a chord with me. So I think from my perspective, what I hope for the PTA to provide to our students and families are those special memories and special opportunities for them to be a part of the community beyond the school books and beyond the learning experience in the classroom.
Beth Ann is a go-getter. She's able to mobilize parents. She's a wonderful communicator. She's great at following through and has a wonderful vision of what PTA can be for our school.
It made me more comfortable sending my child to school, and it just made me feel like I was sending my child to a place where they were welcomed and the teachers were engaged with us outside of the classroom as well. And that just made me feel really good as a parent to know that my children were excited to go to school because they knew that there were going to be fun components as well throughout the school year.
It is so fulfilling because you really get to interact with the families and the students on a different level. And as a PTA, you can do 10, 20 events, but if people don't show up, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that our families show up and participate so much that make all of the work completely worthwhile.
Someone once said to me, what's the most important thing in your job, or what's the most important thing in school? And I said, everything. Absolutely every single piece matters and every single thing is really important. It does take a village, and it takes all of our parents rallying together and to be partners with the school in a true meaningful way. And when you have those things come together, you have an incredibly wonderful school.
Congratulations again, Country Parkway. I have to say, when I first arrived in the district, Popsicles with the Principal was one of the first events I attended, and it was at Country Parkway, very well attended. So thank you for providing the environment. And as you said, education and experience, they do go hand in hand. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall. Are there any board acknowledgements? Ms. Poulin?
I know that many of our teachers do a lot of work over the summer and do a lot of work in various ways. And so we don't always recognize those things. We are well known in Williamsville for our wonderful music programs and our music departments. And I have grandsons who participate in that. So it's a personal touch to me. But this summer, I had the opportunity to listen to the orchestra play at the Bristol Hills Summer Music Camp. And I learned that about 25% of the students that participate in Bristol Hill are from Williamsville. And I think a big part of that goes to Mrs. Amy Vandenberg, who gives up a week of her time to be there with those students. And so I wanted to commend her for the work that she does to instill music throughout the school year, but in the summer as well. So
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. We are now up to public expression. I call on Ms. Poulin to review our public expression format.
welcome to all who have come to observe this regular board meeting. Per policy 1510, the board allows up to 30 minutes of public comment. This is a time when we invite members of our school community to share ideas, opinions, and concerns with us. While we are here to listen carefully and we take your concerns seriously, public comment is not designed to be a discussion. Therefore, please do not expect us to respond tonight. Instead, you will receive a response by email after our meeting. Because we want to maintain mutual respect and civility, please ensure that comments are delivered in a respectful manner to the board directly. Also, under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments related to employee personal information or any topic that may disclose information about a particular student. On these matters, we ask that you go through the appropriate administrative channels. Please note that individuals are required to sign up prior to our meeting, and each speaker is allotted 3 minutes for comments. You'll be signaled at 2.5 minutes so that you may conclude your remarks. At this time, we will begin public comments. After I call your name, please step up to the podium and state your name. Our first speaker is Jennifer Blasak.
Hello. To be honest, this expression is very similar to November of 2019 when I spoke to the board, but even more important since 2020. I would like to thank each of you for all that you do for the students at Williamsville School District. I bought a house in this school district because of the great reputation it has, and thankful for my children's experiences here. There are many new faces since 2019, and I want to express my feelings about class sizes again. As a high school teacher in another district, I am very aware of how class sizes affect how I teach. In my district, it is against my contract to have more than 26 students in a class. Shy students sometimes will not ask questions or are embarrassed to volunteer in large classes. In my math classes that have less than 24 students, students are more comfortable asking questions or ask me to explain a topic again in a different way. They learn to advocate for themselves. I feel more connected to my students in smaller class sizes, and they feel more connected to me as well as their peers. And again, this is so much more important now. I spend less time on discipline and more time understanding my students' needs, both academically and emotionally. Social emotional well-being is so important now. I want my children's teachers in Williamsville to be the best they can be. I believe eliminating large class sizes will help. I have been told to find data. I was told this back in 2019. So as a math major and a past AP statistics teacher, I was up for the challenge. I read through hundreds of pages of peer-reviewed studies with mixed conclusions connecting to academics. Some studies define small class sizes as having 13 to 17. Small class sizes alone will not improve academics, but smaller class sizes allow for more opportunity if there are highly qualified teachers. Studies do show that in smaller class sizes, better student-teacher relationships are formed, and there are higher levels of student participation. Students have greater access to resources, more individualized student learning occurs, and students have greater success after leaving school, because that's our goal. preparing our students to be successful after they graduate. Students learn better work habits, self-control, as well as confidence and emotional stability. These traits are not mastered by standardized tests or measured by standardized tests, but are crucial for long-term educational success, and smaller class sizes help our students attain these skills. I'm not asking for small class sizes, but I'm asking for the board to take a stand against large class sizes and change their class size guidelines for grades 3 through 12. All districts have different needs. Ask your Williamsville teachers what they need to be their best. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my apologies because may have difficulty with your name. It's Aziza Ahais. And please correct me.
Hi everyone, my name is Aziza Anas. Thank you for everybody here. And I moved to Williamsville like before 4 years. And I asked for help like 4 years. Nobody answered my question. Last year, I reached out to the superintendent and he asked me to come to the board meeting. I have kids, he go to St. Mary School for the Deaf. And he stay for after school program to have tutoring, and he have drama, and he have sport. But Williamsville district say no bus for after school program. And I asked for this help all the time. I asked the special education for help. They said no. Transportation, they said no. And I came here to find out I need somebody to help me. My son stay home, no after school program, nothing, and he needs somebody to help him with his English. My English is not, and excuse me for my English.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, he wants somebody to help him because he's disabled. When we came to United States, he was 10 years old without education, zero education. He need more help at school to be like successful like other kids. And I don't know, I need everybody to look for my case. Thank you so much for asking me to come to board meeting. And I don't know how I speak more. I don't know if you heard my voice. Everybody here, like a parents. I speak with you as parents, a mother, father, not like board education. And I have other 3 kids. I am unable to take him to St. Mary's School every day. And I pick him up from St. Mary's School. Like, St. Mary's School, like 40 minutes away from here. And I don't assign my other kids for support after school because he will ask me, why you take my sibling to sport and you not me? My kids don't have anything after school because of him. Because he will ask me question, why my sibling? Because they can do more than me. I am stay home. And that's why my kids, all of them in Williamsville district, no one go to after school program. Everybody stay home. Please answer me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our last speaker this evening is Kristen Cacciatore.
Hello. Move this down a little bit. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Cacciati, and I am the parent of 3 Williamsville students. First of all, I just want to thank you for your time and service to our students here in the Williamsville district. I know that this does take up a lot of your time, and it is appreciated. Just to give you a little background, I'm kind of piggybacking off of what Jennifer Blazak said. But in October 2019, I noticed that my daughter's class sizes were becoming very large. So myself and some other parents began coming to speak at board meetings to ask for the board's support in lowering class size guidelines, since this is a board decision. We collected and presented over 100 letters from residents that agreed with us. They have been forwarded at some point to all of the board members. I do have them again. If anybody wants to see them, I'd be happy to forward them along. The pandemic obviously hit and the district needed to focus on other immediate needs. So I have not spoken at a board meeting in quite a while. I see that looking at elementary class sizes is on the agenda for this board meeting tonight. This began a few years ago. It is noticed and it is appreciated. I'm happy to see that many classes are starting at the lower end of the class size guidelines. I know that you cannot respond to me directly right now, but I do hope that you will discuss looking at middle school and high school class sizes this year as well. My goal is to see regular class sizes of 25 or less throughout the district. Another concern with class sizes and things that are happening right now is that in the past, the board members have asked great questions about new communities that have been are currently being built throughout the district. I know that I happen to notice them here and there when I'm taking my kids to sporting events, to dance and things like that. And it just seems that there are new builds popping up all over Amherst and Williamsville that would fall into our school district. I'm very concerned about the effect that they will have on class sizes and spacing issues. I know that the district had an outside consultant, but he didn't really seem to be, from what I understood, he didn't really seem to be aware of all of those and to be taking those into consideration. So I'm hoping that as things are starting to get back to normal, I'm hoping that this is a topic and something that the board members would be willing to continue to have conversations about. I'm more than willing to meet with any of you or Dr. Brown Hall. My information is available on the public expression sign-in sheet. I also am going to pass down here, and I'll just ask you to pass it along, the class size letter that we wrote. Again, I don't want to repeat this for some of the board members that have been around, but we've done a lot of digging, we've done a lot of research, and we really feel very passionate about this. So I hope that we can continue this conversation. Thank you. And if anybody wants to sign that, I want to see.
Thank you all for your comments this evening, and that does conclude our public comments for today.
Thank you, Ms. Poulin. Item number 5 is consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda of 6 consent personnel, 7 consent business items, 8 consent special needs and student activities? Poulin, we have a second. Mrs. Leatherbarrow, discussion? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
One question regarding the school physician. I know that there was some information, some questions were asked for via email, but I apologize, I missed the response to that question regarding the school physician. Is a new person being appointed?
We are going to appoint a new person in that position. We're reviewing and to fill that position as of now.
Okay.
Some of the duties and responsibilities will remain in-house, and we had to examine that position to see what was really needed in that position.
Thank
So we are
you.
doing that.
I apologize for not seeing that response to
problem.
that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Discussion? Okay. So all in favor of the consent? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I would like to thank the following retirees for their service to the district. Kenneth Scharf, a grounds worker in the facilities department for 28 years of service, and Michael Wiggins, custodian at East High School for 41 years of service. Thank you to these gentlemen. Item number 9. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting in agenda item 9A? Littman, second. Ms. Fleckinger? Any corrections? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Next, we have the president's report. The upcoming and prior events that I'm going to mention are all listed in board docs. For our listening audience, probably the most important one that I would like to mention is October 1st, 2022, from 9 to 11:30 in the North High School Auditorium. we will have our first of the year community forum. All of our board members have been able to work on their schedules and they will all be there. For those of you that have not had an opportunity to attend a community forum before, one of the points of doing the forum is that we have an opportunity not just to hear you speak, like in public expression, but we have the ability to interact with you. So you will ask a question and one or more of us will make comments, suggestions, ask you further questions, make notes on it. Anyway, please check your schedule and hopefully a lot of you will be able to attend the October 1st forum. We have also had in the past, there was a meeting with the Office of New York State Comptroller, had a webinar on August 10th that was attended by Ms. Kazmarek-Bogner, Dr. Littman, and Dr. Singh. On August 11th, we had a board retreat in the conference room. Attended were myself, Dr. Singh, Ms. Poulin, Ms. Bleckinger, Mr. Bulin, Mr. Biscaglia, Ms. Kazmarek-Bogner, and Mrs. Leatherbarrow. On August 24th, myself, Mrs. Leatherbarrow, Ms. Poulin, Dr. Littman, and I think Ms. Kazmarek-Bogner had a chance to go around and see the updates in terms of safety and security at South, Mill, and Maple East. And there was a new teacher orientation on Wednesday, August 24th. And the opening day for staff and support staff was Tuesday, August 30th. Both of those were virtual events. I would add, that it was a nice beginning to get everybody back into a school mode, sort of editorial comment. It was just nice. And under my report also, board members Kazmarek-Bogner and Singh will be reviewing the non-instructional business operations policy, which is the 5,000 series on Thursday, October 13th at 2:30. We made a commitment last year to systematically go through and look at each of our policies. And now we are up to the 5,000s. And then after that will be the 6,000s, the 7,000s, and the 8,000s.
Mhm.
Okay. In terms of the Erie County Association of School Boards, upcoming events also are listed in board docs. And there is a presentation by Rick Timms on October 13th, talking about state aid. Myself, Ms. Poulin, and Dr. Singh are already attending. Is anyone else able to attend that event? No? All right, thank you. And does anyone else have anything to report related to ECASB? All right, thank you. Under the New York State School Boards Association, upcoming events and the NYSBA timeline for proposed bylaw amendments and resolutions book are listed in board docs. There is an upcoming Board Officers Academy, which is a virtual event on September 16th that I will be attending. Does anyone else have anything to report related to NYSBA? Thank you. Item E. May I have a motion to approve and authorize Dr. Littman as the voting delegate for the virtual business meeting on October 17th, 2022? Ms. Bleckinger, second. Dr. Singh, discussion? Ms. Kazmarek-Bogner?
Just briefly, Dr. Littman, I did notice that there was a typo in Resolution 15. So I didn't know if you wanted me to pass that along or if you wanted to pass that along, but they left out a very important word, which was special education parent advocates. they left out the word advocates in the resolution, which is what the resolution was about. So I think it's probably important that that gets
I will,
changed.
yeah, I will do that when
Thank
I
you.
get to the office tomorrow.
Thank you for pointing that out.
And just, you know, I've gone through it. And again, just if any of you have other comments, please direct them to me. Again, it's 32 proposals or resolutions that were approved by NISBA, and there were 11 that were not supported. So, you know, any feedback on any of them is encouraged.
Thank you. So we did have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor of appointing Dr. Lippman? Unanimous, thank you. And F, may I have a motion to approve the amended work of the Board of Education as presented? Number 9 was left off on the previous approval in July, and it's been added to the agenda item now for approval. Do I have a motion? Mr. Bulin, second. Ms. Poulin? Discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. G is the board goals and can't talk tonight. Implementation plan and our measures for 2022, 2023. All of you have seen the copy of our board goals, and many of you have sent in suggestions in terms of actions and things that we can do, and it's very much appreciated. I, for example, still have a few others that I would like to add. So if anyone else has anything that you would like to add or update, please send everything to Mrs. Carey on that topic, and then we'll get another finalized version that we can look at. Mrs. Leatherbarrow.
So, Dr. President McCleary, just for clarity then, we're not voting on this, we're just reviewing it tonight?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
but thank you on that question. And now, number 11, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for items 11A, B, and C.
Thank you very much, Dr. McCleary. If we can have our Director of Communications put up the community update. I want to thank Nick Filipowski for always being here, always right on the money. Thank you very much, Nick.
Here it is.
So we have a lot to discuss this evening because a lot has happened over the summer. We have a lot of things coming up. So we'll get right into our community update. Number 1, welcome back. So this is not our first board meeting of the new year, but this is our first board meeting after school has started. So we want to share some of the happy faces we had on the first day of our Welcome Back campaign. And we had our news reporter from WIVB out there with our North cheerleaders. And so it was just an exciting day all around. A lot of smiling faces. I know myself, our leadership team went to many of the schools that day. So it was great to see everyone out and about, parents dropping off students smiling, and exciting to be back in school. Back to school information. So one of the questions we get asked a lot, and I know that Dr. McCleary mentioned it, that the board was able to visit the schools that had safety and security construction going on over the summer. And so those schools, we saw Maple East, they had their entire vestibule completed. We went to South High School. This construction will be continuing throughout the district, and the schools that were not done this year, they will begin during Easter break next year. So we will eventually be at the point where all of our schools have new security entrances, so that when an individual is buzzed into our school building, they're held in a vestibule. Many times it's not even important that anyone access the school building. They can take care of their business in that vestibule with one of the office staff members. If they're leaving something for a child, if they need to enter to meet with the principal or administrators, there's a separate hallway, so they're not in the population of the school building. So these are great security measures we have in the district. I want to thank the community for ensuring that anytime you see something, you're also saying something, notifying your school administration, because working together, schools and communities, that's how we'll ensure the safety of our school buildings. We also have 3 full-time SROs in our district, and we're very appreciative of that. They have offices at Williamsville East, North, and South, but they also visit schools throughout the district on a daily basis, usually through their patterns, right? Through their feeder patterns. They make themselves known to the school communities and they visit the schools. We also are in contract with Vista Securities. They actually employ off-duty APD officers to help in our buildings. So they are also patrolling at arrival, at dismissal, making themselves known in our school communities too. So these are all things that are important to us, the safety and security, as they are important to you too. So these are just some of the pictures of the new entrances, for example, at Maple East, Country Parkway, and then Mill. Once you walk inside the Mill, you see all the new construction, all the new security measures. We also want to talk about COVID-19 information. Now, we have updated the COVID-19 education page with the new guidelines from the New York State Department of Health and the New York State Education Department. Information has been sent to parent, guardians, and caregivers over the summer on what those new requirements are that we're implementing. They're actually less strict, less stringent than last year. And we will continue to have COVID-19 at-home test kit distributions throughout the year. So the governor's office has, and we picked up another shipment last week of COVID test kit distributions. There is added information that we shared with families regarding the new expiration dates for the COVID-19 at-home test kits that have been distributed. So some of them had very recent expiration dates. Those expiration dates have been extended by the government. And so we are able to make sure that we pass that information on to you, and our COVID-19 education page has been updated with that additional information. Transportation. I appreciate everyone's patience as we started the school year. The information is still available on Wix. If you have any questions regarding busing, please contact our transportation department. I want to do a public thank you to our transportation team members. They're doing an excellent job attempting to balance our bus routes so that we ensure our students arrive to school on time and are taken home on time. As you know, with the beginning of school, today's the 6th day, every day gets a little bit better. Now, if you know someone that is interested in becoming a bus driver, please have them contact STA, Student Transportation of America, by calling 716-912-6143. And we'll be very flexible with how we're staffing our bus drivers also. Yes.
Superintendent Brownhall, I just have a question regarding the contact number.
Yes.
The contact number that's listed on our transportation department page is a different number.
It's not 626-8393?
It's 8397.
Okay.
And it lists Graham Field Belono.
Oh, we will have to get that changed. Graham is no
but one
longer.
of these is a misprint, but I know that was a question by some parents of who to contact.
Mr. Assistant Superintendent Matursky?
Your number is still correct. It is a direct number to the transportation office, to the supervisor's phone.
The one that's on the district website?
The one that is listed here, the one on the district website is just to a general transportation number to the
Okay.
secretarial staff. So they're both good.
Could that number perhaps be added so that both numbers are there? Just so that my heart breaks for parents. I understand, like, when you have to get to work, and granted, it's day 6, right? So we have to,
right.
And this always does get better. But when you have seen the bus go past your kid, which it's all happened to all of us, right?
Mhm.
You're left feeling like, well, what do I do now?
What do I do now?
Right? And so it's helpful to get somebody on the other end of a phone
Mhm.
that can say, okay, we'll send a bus, just so you
Absolutely.
have confirmation. So yeah, I would just ask that be included.
Thank you. And we'll update that page also. And we're very fortunate to have our retired supervisor of transportation, Ms. Carolyn Perry, come back to fill that supervisor of transportation position as Graham is no longer with our district. So thank you very much for that.
And one other question, I know in past years, Assistant Superintendent Matursky, you've kind of given us like little updates as to like how many buses were running late and how many complaints. So we really haven't heard too much from that in the district. Is there any sense that we as a board can be told one way or another? Are things improving every day? Do we have an approximate number of how many
Right.
are running late?
And I will say things are improving every day. We can develop a report for you. Things are improving every day. There are new bus drivers hired. They're going through the process. And once they're able to hit the road, we'll have even more bus drivers in our staff. So every day it will get better, but we can give detailed information.
I
if
don't want
that's-
to require additional work for a report because I understand that can be taxing, but just as as we move into October, if we could just know approximately
And what it looks like.
the
Correct.
rate is each day.
And again, and that's why I started by saying I thank the parents for their patience also, because they are understanding and there really haven't been that many complaints. And the complaints that we've received, we are looking into, because we want to make sure that if there are efficiencies that we can experience early on, that we're exploring those.
And finally, I will just add with a positive. I have heard some positive things too. I've heard of situations with bus drivers doing trial runs the day before school and actually stopping and talking to families that happened to be out because it was a nice day that day. And I know that little gesture goes a long way with
Absolutely.
our kiddos who are a little nervous about getting on the bus. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is just a reminder that the federal program that allowed for every student to receive a free lunch and breakfast over the last couple of years is no longer in place. So we do ask families to please fill out the free and reduced lunch application. And then you can also prepay the lunch through My School Bucks. And we have the breakfast, lunch prices listed here and on the website, but we do ask that you fill out the free and reduced meal application. Additional information. So we are hosting a flu vaccine clinic on Monday, October 24th at Casey Middle School from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And as the date gets closer, we'll send additional information out to all of our families in the district. But we wanted to get that on everyone's calendar early. So that's Monday, October 24th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Casey Middle School. Additional information to come. PTSA, PTA, and SEPSA. So you've heard me say in the past, I want to also encourage all of our families to take an active role in your school by joining the PTA, the PTSA, or SEPSA, the Special Education PTSA. These are important organizations. As you saw earlier, our PTA at Country Parkway won a national award. So these organizations in our schools provide phenomenal experiences for all of our students. And even if you join and you can't attend every meeting, attend every event, what you do, a little bit of volunteering does go a long way. So we have listed here, we want you to contact your school for your individual PTA and PTSA information. We've listed the PTA Council co-presidents and the SEPSA president this year, but make sure you're reaching out to your school building to find out who your PTSA executive members are and contact them to see when your meetings are and how you can become more involved. And your meetings are also on the district calendar. So if you go to your school calendar also. Climate and Communication Survey. This survey, I wanted to make sure we briefed it here because it will be available on the website by the end of the week. But we asked families to complete the survey last June. We received great feedback in our communications committee because we wanted our number of respondents to be higher, and parents shared sending out a survey in September or June. Not only is it busy for the school district and the school buildings, it's also a busy time for parents. So we're going to figure out when the proper time to send a survey of this magnitude out in the future. But the data and information from the school district climate and communication survey will be available on the district's website by the end of the week. So it is very dense data, but it will help us as we begin to plan in the future, what we're going to look to implement in our strategic planning action plans based on some of this data, and then really dig down deep to see how we can make sure that we are hitting the important points that this data is bringing about. For example, the first one of the questions for parents was, my children's schools provide instructional materials for example, textbooks and handouts that reflect students' cultural background, ethnicity, and identity. So we had strongly agree, but we also have some disagree and strongly disagree and don't know, right? So we see that there are areas for improvement. And second, my child's or children's schools communicate how important it is to respect the practices of all cultures. So we have improvements, and we can see how we can better our, number one, our respondents, but also what we are reporting in these surveys. Dr. Lippman?
Yeah, I mean, the data is informational.
Absolutely.
Again, subject to interpretation. I'm just looking at the response rate, which is about 12% of parents. And again, if you look at it from a data analytics standpoint, 12% response rate, just kind of clarifies a certain group of people. We still don't know what the other portion of people is thinking.
Right. And that's why
double dip or do something.
Right. You're very right. And not to cut you off, and that's why I started by saying we received great feedback from our parents on the communications committee on what do they think would increase the parents responding to the surveys. So timing is everything.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we, do proper timing just to try to make sure we're increasing the response rate. Because as you said, it is informational, and the more parents and guardians that respond, the more information that we have. Summary of religious and cultural observances. So on page 39 of the district calendar is a list of religious and cultural observances, and it was compiled with dates and information from the National Federation for Just Communities. Now we have a new webpage as a community resource also. We partnered with community leaders to create informational videos, and we will continue to add to this page throughout the year. I believe we can show this webpage, correct, Mr. Filipowski? It's one thing to read about some of the religious and cultural observances. It's another thing to have a community member and have a video so they can actually tell you about it. So you can either read about it or you can watch the video also about some of our cultural and religious observances. So this is available on the district website, and we will, as we said in the slide, we will continue to add to this page and increase it. So I also want to thank Mr. Filipowski has done a lot of work on this, he and his department. So I want to thank him for that. Individuals of significance. So the district will be highlighting individuals of significance throughout the school year, very similar to what we did last year when I did the weekly updates. So we created a community resources page for this initiative. For example, Hispanic Heritage Month begins September 15th and ends October 15th. So video projects will be shared on the district website and social media. I believe two of the first people that we are highlighting. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick. Oh, no. Two of the first people we are highlighting are Sonia Sotomayor.
Yes.
Absolutely. She's one of the first people we're highlighting, and Lin-Manuel Miranda. And so this page will be updated. So every time we have Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, Women in History Month, all those types of things. So we'll have all of that highlighted throughout the school year also. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I did want to give an update, as we've done historically in the month of September, about our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in our district. So our diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have a district-wide committee. All schools have a DEI building committee because that is one of the goals of our action plan. Our diversity, equity, and inclusion district-wide committee has 56 members on it, including 10 parents, student representatives from each high school, building administrators, and teachers. So we've already had 4 meeting dates. Our September meeting date has been moved to September 29th, 2022. So a lot of people ask, so what's going on in the DEI committee? What are you working on? We're ultimately working on a plan. So we've discussed the purpose of the DEI plan, structure for DEI plan development. We've conducted a DEI committee qualitative survey. We reviewed district data by race and we're looking for disproportionality. If that presents itself in discipline, if it presents itself in the classification of special education, if it presents itself in the number of students who are in advanced placement courses. So these are important things we look at. We talk about common language and definitions, implicit bias and microaggressions, what they are, how they're defined. And we also talk about the CRS framework. Now, the CRS framework has 4 important keys. One of the first is welcoming and affirming environment. The second is high expectations and rigorous instruction. The third is inclusive curriculum and assessment. And the fourth is ongoing professional learning. The way the CRS framework is broken down is so that each of these areas, each of the 4 areas I just highlighted, there's a section for students, there's a section for teachers, school leaders, district leaders, families and community members, higher education, and education departments. For example, the New York State Education Department. It's very easily understood, and it's easy to navigate through this document. And so we were actually breaking that document down, seeing what's applicable in our district or how we're going to apply it in our district. All of it is applicable in our district, but how we're also going to apply it in our district. So we're spending a good amount of time in the DEI committee reviewing that information. We've also reviewed the New York State Board of Regents framework and diversity, equity, and inclusion in New York schools. As many of you know, our district in October of 2021 adopted the DEI policy, and we are very, very fortunate to have a New York State Board of Regents and New York State Education Department that supports this work. We've examined articles in the DEI committee. One article by Gloria Langston Billings, It's Just Good Teaching. Another article by Robin DiAngelo, Right Fragility. And another article by Sawchuk, What is Critical Race Theory and Why is it Under Attack? Because I know a lot of people think DEI is cover or code for CRT. So we were able to examine really what CRT is and how it's different from DEI. Last but not least, I do want to stress that our teachers, we have phenomenal teachers. Well, you all know that. It's one of the things I heard on the listening tour, how great our teachers are. Our teachers are really being trained in many things in our district. And I wanted to highlight some of the professional learning opportunities. Now, this is not a list that is, everything that teachers have in the way of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The list is approximately 3 pages long, but these are some of the highlights, some of the participation that our teachers have had in some of the DEI trainings. So the first one is the Erie Wombosi DEI Consortium, and we have an administrator from each of our buildings that is registered for that consortium. And that consortium will meet every month, once a month, beginning September, going all the way till June. So myself, Dr. Bellin, and our Director of Professional Learning, who is also our DEI coordinator of the district, Ms. Linda Rouet, will also be a part of that consortium. We had other professional learning opportunities in 2022, 2023, one talking about race in school, another seeking educational equity and diversity. In 21-22, we introduced an intro to Islam and Ramadan as a PD. Another one is towards a culturally responsive education, developing classroom practices to engage, inspire, and empower our youth. We've had Beyond the Plus, exploring the plus and LGBTQ plus identities. We've had creating a culture of belonging, religion, the Constitution in the classroom, strengthening anti-racist pedagogical practices. We've had an implementation team that has studied that. Cultural awareness, Diwali extravaganza in 2019-2020, and Judaism, resources for social studies teachers in 2019-2020. That's when they were first introduced. It's not to say that these trainings haven't continued. But I wanted to show how far back our district has gone with the importance of DEI and the trainings that have been offered to our teachers.
And can we
go ahead
on this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like going back, I was looking over my notes. I've been involved in DEI for many years. I have notes from the mid 2000s of my background and training in that area, and I've done a lot of these professional development courses over time. But on that slide we talk about diversity, and you only mention race. One of the issues that becomes an issue is that when we talk about the topic of diversity, people only think about race, and we know in our discussions in the DEI committee, which some of the school board members also sit on, that we talk about other issues besides race. We talk about, religion. We talk about developmental disabilities. We talk about a number of things. And, I don't believe that slide kind of represented the big picture of all the work that the district is doing in areas of DEI.
Right, and I just want to clarify because I remember you speaking about that.
Yeah.
So when I went over what the DEI committee had done, the disaggregation of data that we did was by race.
Okay.
When we looked at advanced placement courses,
I was going to ask if I was right and accurate.
education, and when we looked at suspensions, right? That one was done by race. But you are very right, Dr. Lippman. I don't want to lose that point. There's so much more to what we've done in the DEI committee, not just focused on race, but the disaggregation of the data was by race.
I appreciate that clarity.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, board members. Are there any other questions? I know that was a lot, but there's been a lot that we've been taking part of and a lot that we have going on in our district. All good stuff. And I want to thank the board members that sit on the DEI committee also. So because it is a commitment, and on the communications committee. So I do appreciate the commitment from our board. Okay, I'm going to move on to 11B, the preliminary elementary class size report. That is in board docs for your review. And as you will see, our elementary class sizes are either within or below the class size range. We don't have any classes at the elementary level that are over the class size range. And I appreciate the constant conversations we have about class size in the district, and we'll continue to have those conversations. They're important conversations to have. Next, 11B, we do want to talk about the 22-23 district strategic goals implementation plans. Now that will be, as we go on throughout the year, that will be enhanced and filled out. We'll do a January update and a June update, but please keep in mind the district goals mirror our strategic planning goals. And those strategic planning goals go all the way to 2027. So it is not a one-year implementation. We will list in there who is involved, and cost will be difficult to estimate right now, but we will list who's involved. And I don't want to preempt or fill in actions to be taken. That's why we took that column out, because I don't know what's going to come out of the communications committee, right? I don't know what's going to come out of the DEI committee. So as we do progress updates in January and June, that will be more robust and you'll see that filled in. Okay, I'll turn it back to Dr. McCleary. Oh, Dr.
Go back to class size. I thought we were going to have a discussion. I mean, I just want to make a few comments because, we've talked about class size through the years. Mr. Ron Schubert from the other board days, we've had these discussions through the years and tried to set it up. We've had parents speak to us tonight about that. And the numbers look good for now, but I know I read in the, I think NYSBA, that there's a new law starting in 2027 that reduces class size across the board to a much lower level. So that's something we as a board down the road will have to look at in your planning for class sizes, because according to that, K to 3 is going to be 20 students, 4 to 8, 23, and high school 25.
Right, and I believe that's
down the road.
Well, that's down the road, and number one, it hits New York City first, and they're suggested. Right. So I understand, right? Because class size is a big thing. The reason they can't impose that on the school district because it creates an unfunded mandate for many school districts, because when you impose that, it also implies that you're either, number one, have additional space to make more classes, or you have the money in your budget to increase your teacher ranks, right? So if that comes with an unfunded mandate, there will be, again, that's why it's not being mandated.
Yeah. Well, we've had that discussion through the years about the number of unfunded mandates kind of dictated by the state. And maybe in some of these resolutions we're looking at that ask for more state funding for some of these mandates and initiatives, things will get a bit better.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, may I have a motion to resolve to approve and adopt the following items? 11D, the resolution for the certification of lead evaluators. 11E, the amended DASA appointment of coordinators. And 11F, the amended code of conduct as presented. Mrs. Leatherbarrow, second. Ms. Kazmarek Bogner. Discussion? All right. All in favor? Thank you. Carried unanimously. Number 12, finance. May I have a motion to resolve and approve the before and after school daycare contract extension as presented? Ms. Leatherbarrow. Second, Ms. Poulin. Discussion? Ms. Leatherbarrow.
I just want to thank Dr. Brown Hall and Mr. Matursky and any district administrator involved in the negotiations for this, because I know we did have a parent speak about this last year, and it's a common concern for working parents of what are you going to do with your child,
Right.
Either before or after school. So I do feel like this was a good compromise, and I appreciate the work that was done to make this happen.
Thank you. And there are students enrolled at the
Yes, there are.
morning program. I know in our travels and all our visits to all of the schools, that was one of the things that they were very appreciative of.
I agree. I mean, there's not, it's never going to be perfect, and, you know, it's not a requirement of the district, but I think it goes a long way to show that we are trying as much as possible to accommodate parents, and then we recognize the demands that working parents.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? On the vote, all in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. 13, our liaison reports. If you have any liaison reports, please send them to Mrs. Carey. The list of assignments and meeting dates are in board docs. The PTA, PTSA president list is also in board docs for board members viewing. If you haven't done so already, please make contact with the president and building principal at the school that you are assigned to. Dr. Singh, were you able to get coverage for your September 19th meeting? Thank you. Does any,
I'm gonna do it.
okay, yes, thank you. Does anyone else have anything to report or questions or comments under liaison assignments? Scalia?
After recognizing Maple West, and I'll talk to the PTA president and principal, but it's going to be very difficult as I work most of the days there at 9 o'clock in the morning to attend. So, but I will contact the PTA president. It's my sister, so easy.
Maple East, correct?
Maple East. Did I say Maple West? I apologize. I have both Maples. A Maple East. But I did talk to Dr. Littman, who would be willing to go to a bunch.
Yeah, I think
Send an email, because we obviously don't want to leave it empty-handed. So
Yeah.
thank you for stepping up, and I apologize for that until
Thanks.
after it was. Yeah, I noticed after we had the assignment. So
Understood. But thank you for bringing it up and seeing how we could problem solve it.
21st.
Anything else?
Wednesday.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
We can talk.
We have no legislative matters to discuss. Item 15, may I have a motion to approve and adopt the textbook entitled Entrepreneurship Ideas in Action as presented? Mr. Viscalia, second. Dr. Singh, discussion? Dr. Littman?
Well, this is my academic content area, and I reviewed the book, and the book looks like, and it's been approved to the district. It looks like it's a good level of information. I think it's very appropriate for young people who want to study entrepreneurship. It would be acceptable, in a low-level college course also. So it looked good. So.
Thank you. Mrs. Leatherbarrow?
I just want to point out, like, in the documents that are on board docs, like, if ever a parent has a question about a textbook in the approval process, yes, the board has the final approval, but we're basically just the rubber stamp. And if you look on the board docs, it's in depth. The members of the team that review the process. I know in previous years, Dr. Beelens explained the process to us. It's very in depth. A lot of work goes into choosing the textbook for a course, and it is looked at through a DEI lens. We know that to be true because that is obviously one of the directives that we've given our superintendent to make sure that decisions do that. So I appreciate it. It was here on the table, and we always have, over the past few years, made it available for board members to look at it. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, it was making its way down the table.
Yeah. And
I just want to say thank you to Dr. Balin for your work in oversight of textbook approval process.
And I mean, just looking at that information, you did look at a number of other textbooks. It's not like you just selected one, so that was good. And the thing I first look at in table of content, because it wasn't a table of content, was in the back part, was on how much time to spend on ethical decision making. And this, I would devote a whole chapter, of course, but there's some in there.
Thank you. We did
Approval? We have to vote.
did vote?
No.
Didn't vote. It's like we got into the discussion. I apologize.
Discussion was good.
So all in favor of this textbook adoption? Thank you. Under personnel, may I have a motion to resolve and approve the tenure recommendations in 16A as presented? Dr. Singh, second. Ms. Blackinger, any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Item 17, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Brownhall and Mr. Matursky to give us a facilities update on the capital project construction.
Mr. Matursky, can you just briefly highlight, because we have a lot of information in board docs already. So if you can just quickly highlight some of the information in there.
Certainly. Your community update actually provided a very good summary. The only additional things I'll add is on the roofing side, 378,000 square feet of roof were done this summer. That's enormous. And having said that, we have about 5 days left to finish everything up, which is good for this time of the year. In addition to that, you already saw the information on the security project. And as Dr. Brownhall mentioned, we'll be looking to plan and move forward with phase 2 beginning in the spring recess.
Thank you, Mr. Matursky. I'll turn it back over to Dr. McCleary.
Thank you. We have no matters to discuss under special needs and student activities, which brings us to number 19, our committee of the whole. Does anyone have any items to discuss under committee of the whole? All right. Under correspondence, does anyone wish to discuss any correspondence that we have received? We have received correspondence from community members regarding a sign language facilitator, DEI, the social media policy, and COVID-19 guidance. Anyone else? Thank you. At this point, our next board meeting is October 11th. May I have a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting? Dr. Singh, second. Mrs. Leatherbarrow. Discussion. All in favor? Thank you.
We should get to the.
Carried unanimously. We are adjourned.
Thank
McCleary.
That was good.
Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.